Greetings, it's Will from StormTheCastle.com, and you are watching the Cardboard daVinci YouTube channel. Thanks for tuning in. And this is a cardboard building technique video. I'm going to show you some interesting techniques, interesting and useful techniques for building things with cardboard. And we derived them from carpentry joining techniques. Carpenters have a whole series of wonderful ways to assemble together pieces of wood, and cardboard is a form of wood, and so we can use those techniques in making cardboard projects. So I'm going to show you four techniques: a dado, a groove, a rabbet, and the mortise and tenon. And we're going to actually do a little bit of improvement, something I call daVinci'ing the projects. daVinci'ing these techniques, we're going to do a little bit of an improvement on the rabbet, which I call the daVinci rabbet, and on the dado, which I call the daVinci dado. So let's do the introduction, and then we're going to show you some nice building techniques derived from carpentry when you're working with cardboard and making things with that beautiful thing called cardboard. Okay, the first thing we're going to look at is something called a dado joint. I love that word, dado. You may have heard of it before, but this is what it is actually, is where you have two or more pieces of cardboard and you cut a slot where you can fit your other piece of cardboard in there. And that this piece is also doubled up. These processes I use work best, not with single sheets, but with doubles or triples of cardboard that have been glued together to give you more of a wood-like structure. So it's really very simple. You just cut your slot or assemble together pieces of cardboard that are the same width as your other piece, and then glue it in. And here's a tip for you when you're building things with cardboard. If you want to keep things really straight, use a triangle. Keep those nice, beautiful 90-degree angles. And if you don't have a triangle, make one out of cardboard. I've done it. Makes a difference. You'll get a much cleaner project and neater. But there you go, the dado joint. Now, we can actually improve on this. Not that I'm trying to improve on carpenters, but because we're working with cardboard, we get a little bit more strength out of it by using something I call a daVinci dado joint. And see that? So what we've done is we've peeled away about a ½ inch of the paper on both sides of our second piece, and then we've trimmed down those corrugations to the thickness of the slot, the depth of the slot. I'll show you. See? So now we've got our corrugations in the middle, our two wings on each side, and then now we're going to trim that down, those corrugations in the middle, to the thickness of our slot. See, there you go. It's one. And then we can just glue that in, and you can use any kind of glue you want to glue it in. I'm using hot glue, but I don't recommend you use hot glue to glue down those wings, but this will make it a lot stronger. And so once that glue is set, and of course we use a triangle, but like I said, once that glue has set and it's held in place nicely, then you can go ahead and use some kind of a white PVA glue, Elmer's glue, any kind of a regular paper glue to glue down those wings. And this will make for an extremely strong assembly. And you can do this kind of thing for if you're making furniture or shelves or cupboards or anything where you want some strength, and it also looks pretty good. The dado joint itself looks really, really nice. And this also looks good. But and I don't use hot glue for this because it can cause bumps and wrinkles. And if you're going to be pressing on it with your fingers, that glue's going to be hot. So just use a regular white glue. And it'll work just as well. So that's the daVinci dado. Let's move on to the next one. This is now, it's really the same thing as a dado, but it's called in carpentry a groove joint. And the thing you notice here is the direction of the grain, or in this case, the flutes of the cardboard. So with wood, the grain, you would be running the same direction as the grain. They would call it a groove joint. And we call it a groove joint too. It's running in the same direction as the flutes. So you do the same thing. And then you can daVinci this one too by peeling away a ½ inch of paper on both sides and gluing that down, just like we did with the regular dado. So now this is a rabbet joint, and it's for corners. So that piece was 2 pieces of cardboard. One is, of course, a little bit shorter than the other, which is the thickness of the second piece of cardboard. And you just glue it in. It makes for a really clean corner with a lot of strength. And of course, we can daVinci this one too. I'll show you how to do that. It's very similar. Now, I like working with hot glue when it comes to cardboard. I use it a lot, but I'm going to be doing a video on what glue is best for cardboard. You might be surprised by my answer. That'll be coming up. And there we go. We've got a rabbet joint. 2 layers of cardboard and 2 layers of cardboard. And of course, we can daVinci the rabbet, so you do the same thing. There's our bottom piece. And our second piece here, we've peeled away a 1/2 inch of the paper, craft paper, on both sides, and trimmed down those corrugations to the thickness of the slot, and then you just glue it in. And this first piece is easy to glue in, this first part. Well, once we glue it in, and then we'll use regular white glue to glue down those wings. You know, at the end of this video, I get something called a daVinci thought. I think that's what it's called. I'm going to tell you a little something that you might find interesting in your creative aspirations. That's coming up in probably a minute or two. But a daVinci thought about what we've done here in this video. But there we go. We've got a nice rabbet, a nice daVinci rabbet. Well, here we go. I'll show you. I'll show you some gluing. So we're going to glue down this wing. And the wing on the other side can be a little bit tricky because of the corrugations. But just keep at it. It may take multiple passes. That's okay. It's going to look good because the wing will hide those corrugations. And one final one coming up now. Let's take a look here. See, I had a little bit of trouble with this. And that's okay. I put glue, and then I needed to put more glue. And then I pressed it down on the bench to get it to hold to those corrugations. So that's going to probably take a little bit of effort, but it's worth the effort. So the final one now. The mortise and tenon. And I think, which one's the mortise? One piece is the mortise and one piece is the tenon, I think. And isn't that such an interesting term? Sounds very medieval to me. That, I think, is the tenon. It's the part that goes in the middle. It's 3 pieces of cardboard with the long one in the middle. And this is the mortise, I believe. 3 pieces of cardboard with the short one in the middle. And you can see how they'll assemble together. This has all kinds of potential for all different kinds of shapes. It doesn't have to be 2 rectangles like this, but it can go that way, it can go this way. So give this some thought when you're making cardboard things. You know, the carpenters have beautiful techniques for joining together pieces of wood, and we now can use those techniques with cardboard. And I'm just going to do it like this because to me this would make a nice picture frame. You do, well, 4 of them. You could cut them at 45-degree angles, and there's a lot of potential in this. So now that's it. Nice techniques. Now let me give you my daVinci a daVinci thought here. daVinci was, of course, a Renaissance man. He was a what do they call it? The polymath. He had skills in all different types of disciplines, music and writing and poetry and drawing and painting, designing machines. And when you have all of those different things, there's a cross-pollination that can happen. You see these things that are not related. One subject's not related to the other, but actually there are ideas in one subject that can be used in a totally different subject. You know, you see the biology of how a bird flies, and you can transfer that information to some kind of a siege machine. And that's what we've done here in this video, in a small way, is we've taken some carpentry skills and we've applied them to cardboard. So give that some thought, how, if you're interested in various things, how you can use ideas from one genre or realm into and bring those ideas, pollinate those ideas into a different genre or realm. That's my daVinci talk. Thanks for watching. Lots more stuff coming. Let's do the outro I called Magic Hands.